Hello everyone, it's Cassandra from Nanny Knows.
Hi.
Hello. This is Challenge 7 of the Challenge Tuesday series. I'm Cassandra from Nanny Knows and this is Calix. And today we will be discussing why parents are yelling at their kids and how to stop.
Baby Center asked parents, how often do you yell at your child? And 39% of parents said almost daily.
So why do we yell at our kids? And how do we stop?
This is something so many parents can relate to. And unless you have a solid plan of action, you are likely to end up yelling at your kids, feeling guilty, apologizing, and then the whole cycle starts all over again.
What?
This just erodes your connection with your kids, and that's not something any parent wants. Let me ask you something. Do you yell in public or when you have people around? The answer you'll give me is likely to be no, and that is because we feel ashamed of yelling at our kids. We care about what people think. We shouldn't, but we do. And do you ever wonder why you get angry so easily? It seems like you're fine 1 minute and then screaming the next. When you look back at your anger, you can't figure out why you lost your mind. Your kids weren't that bad, you were just overwhelmed and angry. It usually has nothing to do with the kids. Most of the time it's because of something going on with us. Maybe it's stress from family or finances. Maybe your head is spinning because there's too much noise and too many things going on all at once. Or maybe you're late in a rush and your child is moving slower than the sloth from Zootopia. There can be so many reasons why you could be angry. Now, let me ask you something else. What do your children think of you when you yell at them? Have you ever asked them, like, hey, how does it make you feel when mom yells at you? And something else. How would you like your children to remember you when they look back on their childhood? Sheila McCraith from theorangerhino.com and the author of Yell Less, Love More took on an incredible challenge of going 365 days without yelling to her 4 boys, and then went on to write a book about it. She stopped yelling at her boys for a whopping 520 consecutive days.
I don't know about you, but that sounds like a whole lot of calm to me. And to you. I don't yell very often at Calix, but when I do, it often has nothing to do with him. It often is a sense of powerlessness or something that was just the cherry on the top for a trigger of mine or a lot of stress that I might have been going through at the time. It can also be our own childhood that trigger our reactions. It's a neurological response to stress.
For example, when I was angry at my partner for leaving the house in a mess before he left, and then Calix took his bowl of porridge, tipped it over accidentally, as toddlers do, and poured it out everywhere. So because I was already revved up about the house being a mess, I took it out on Calix for something he knows I don't normally get upset about.
My grandmother came to stay with us for a few months after her husband passed away, and she's a yeller. Now, I noticed how well Calix listened to her, but only out of fear. So he would avoid her a lot of the time, just in the event that she would yell at him. So, in fact, he learned nothing from the experience. He only learned to avoid her or not to do something. A lot of the time, people don't like to admit that they're part of the problem. They like to blame other people or other things for their reactions. What a lot of people start doing is that they believe that they are yellers, that is just who they are, that they are these people who get revved up easily and can't do anything about it. They've been doing it for so long that they believe it's not easy for them to calm down. But the fact is that you can change. All it takes is for you to admit that you have this habit of yelling and that you want to change it.
If my kid didn't do it, I wouldn't have yelled at him. If my child had just listened to me, then my beautiful vase wouldn't have broken and I wouldn't have yelled at him, right? Now, if you start yelling, turn it into words. Make a sound like, oh, I'm so angry. Or give it your own name, like, Mommy's turning into the yellow gobster. Whatever can make you laugh, which can often lighten the situation as well. When you have yelled, apologize to your child. You can say,
Mommy yelled, and I'm sorry. I wasn't handling my emotions very well because I was feeling very frustrated that you were jumping on the couch. I'm sorry. But I still love you. Oh, I do.
No.
I do love you. I'll never stop loving you.
Stop loving me.
I'll never.
Stop loving me.
Never.
it doesn't get easier, but you become more conscious of your reactions and what makes your life easier. Acknowledge feelings while you set limits. You may feel like yelling, "I told you to stop playing and get dressed. How many times do I have to tell you?" But that teaches your child that you aren't serious until you raise your voice. And it doesn't help them to develop self-discipline because they aren't choosing to give up what they're doing. As Dr. Laura Markham puts it, kids need to feel understood before they can follow your limit. Instead, acknowledge their perspective and then explain to them why you need them to do what you have asked of them. So what does your child learn here? They learn, I don't always get what I want, but I get something better, a parent who understands no matter what. And it's worth to give up what I want for what I want more, that warm relationship with my parent. Often, parents yell back at their kids when their kids have yelled at them. Instead, help your child with their emotions before you try to teach. Most of us feel like saying, "Go to your room until you can speak to me in a nicer tone." But that just teaches kids that they're alone in trying to manage those big feelings. Instead, try something like this.
Oh boy, you know we speak to each other respectfully in this family. You must have been really upset to speak to Mommy like that. What's going on?
So what does your child learn here? They learn that it's safe to show my parents when I'm upset. They understand and they can help me. Feelings aren't dangerous and we always have a choice about how we act on them. And they learn that my words have the power to hurt and I don't want to do that. I'm grateful to Mom for not flying off the handle when I was so upset. She helped me to calm down. Some things that can help you through the process of transformation from yelling at your kids is to have a mantra, to have stickies, post-its, signs, affirmations, to yell into the mountains, or trigger tracking. Find what works for you and do that. The things that get under our skin and make us explode are called anger triggers. The goal is to find those triggers and to fix them, or at least be aware of them. Once we get a better awareness of our triggers, we can start staying calm when life gets nuts. Take out that anger trigger. Do you see any patterns in what's causing your stress? For some people, it's too much background noise, so keep the TV, the music, or the radio off. If you're like me, it's having too many tasks that you feel overwhelmed and chaotic. So when your nagging child comes and begs to have another muffin, you lose it and you yell. So, which of your triggers can you control? Focus on those and fix them first. You'll feel less overwhelmed and less likely to jump to anger. And challenge yourself to track your triggers. There are always signs that we're getting angry. We just don't always pay attention to them. The key to not getting to your angriest is to calm down before you're at the place where you can't control it anymore. So taking a deep breath doesn't work when you're ranting and you're raving. A yelling parent is already at that level, and it's difficult to bring yourself to a calm after that. But when you're frustrated, just taking a deep breath can work wonders. The truth is that it's okay to yell sometimes. We are all going to have moments of anger during our journey as parents, and that's okay. We're human and we're going to get angry. What matters is the level and type of yelling, because there's a big difference between yelling to get the child's attention and ranting and raving and shaming or calling children names, and what you do to repair the relationship after you yell. Yes, an apology is important, but how you apologize is even more important. No one wants to be an angry parent all the time. So rather, get curious about your yelling. Think about why it occurs. What situations make it worse? What situations can make it better? What strengths could you build on? What skills do you need to learn? What do others say about your reactions? Is this a one-time thing or does it happen often? Is there a pattern? Is it worse with some people and not with others? What is the need you are trying to express? What do you feel before or after this behavior? And is there a reaction that seems to work better than yelling? Look at these from a non-judgmental point of view. Be gentle, gracious, and kind to yourself during the process. Think about what's not working and what you'd like to change, and put it all on the table. Look for patterns, look at your history, and identify your strengths. Change happens when we decide to slow down, to define the problem and work gradually towards a solution. Healthy neural pathways are built through repetition, safety, and connection. And lastly, let's say you've worked through all the triggers and you're the calm Zen parent you want to be. But you still need to get your child's attention. Here are 5 ways to get your child's attention without yelling, adapted from Messy Motherhood. Whisper. It's bound to get their attention because they have to concentrate on hearing you. Make eye contact. Place your hand on their shoulder and go down to their level. Do something crazy. Be playful and silly, and it definitely lightens the mood. Play the clapping game and sing a rhyme. You can sing, "If you hear me, clap to 3. 1, 2, 3, look at me." And tickling. If you found that your child is oblivious to your request, run over and tickle them.
And that's what it's really all about. There will be times where you yell at your kids because of a bad night's sleep, you're exhausted, you're drained, you've been triggered several times, and you're human. But the more you yell at your kids than what you're calm, then something needs to change. And that change starts with you. When you find yourself yelling at your kids, don't beat yourself up about it. It's difficult when knowing all of these tips to say to yourself that you should be doing this or you should be doing that. But the important thing is that you try to do better next time. And that's all it takes. Focus on progress and not perfection. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you again next time. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. It sounds like that. Ah!
You're not supposed to laugh.
See, Mom. Oh.